I was about to head inside and almost forgot to make another video here about something else I was supposed to talk about. So, years ago, I saw what looked like a pharmacy counter, like you'd see at Walmart or Walgreens or whatever wall store you go to. And it looked just like a pharmacy counter does today, but it had thick glass like a bank does. And this was one of many experiences I had that what's a good word for this? I compiled into, that's not the best word, synthesized, that's the word. Compiled and synthesized into a video that was called When the Leaves Appear, Summer's at Hand, I think, where I shared a bunch of prophecies about the future, most of which have now occurred. Which should give you pause for the ones that are left, because some of them might seem pretty whacked out still. I think all of them did when I made the video, but lo and behold. So anyway, I think in that video, it may have been somewhere else, I think that I talked about changes that would be coming because of rampant crime. And I said it's something like, now this isn't a quote, I haven't looked back at the video, this is just reproducing the model here. As the fabric of society deteriorates, the things that are based on social norms will become more evident, because without them, there will have to be these dramatic changes. I'm pretty sure I didn't say that in that video, but that was one of the transcendent principles that was driving a lot of what I said there. So with this bulletproof glass thing, I've been watching silently. My poor wife, I'm not silent to her. Hey, remember when? Yeah, well, look at this. Anyway, distance can be good. There are blessings and limitations of proximity and distance. I have a chapter about that in a forthcoming book. Anyway, so I saw an article today, I think it was on Fox News website, and they had some screenshots from a Walgreens in Chicago that's trial running a new store format where basically everything in the store is behind the counter. And I looked at the picture, and it's funny because it looks like a pharmacy. Now I'll tell you what they're missing is the glass. And this is my question for you. The reason they're doing that is because these mobs of people are stealing tons of stuff. When I made that video and I shared those prophecies, I don't think there were any laws that said it was okay to shoplift things as long as you don't steal more than X amount of dollars. And then that kind of just went crazy in places like California and Chicago, multiple cities in California and in Chicago and other places now. And I've heard reports from Baltimore that it's like this now, where you go to the store, you just see people blatantly stealing stuff all the time. So anyway, it's not that way where I live yet. But also, I almost never go into town anymore, so I wouldn't really know. But as of the other day, I went into town and I didn't see anybody stealing anything. So here's my question. If they have to do all this because people just steal stuff, do you really think that putting it behind a counter is going to stop them from jumping the counter and stealing stuff? And so we're just a half step away from them putting bulletproof glass in there. And why do they have that glass at banks? Because people rob them, right? I remember being a kid and seeing this at corner stores downtown in Baltimore, where they had the bulletproof glass. But they've had bulletproof glass in corner stores in the ghetto for a real long time for the same reason. It's just that culture's spreading out of its original confines. And, well, we could get into why that is, but anyway, my point with this is, I don't I don't go out of my way to call attention to these things as they happen. It should be pretty dang obvious for anyone who's watching. But the reason for the video isn't so much for that. It's just to let you know. I mean, this could be long if I wanted to go all out, but when things change dramatically, things don't stay the same. I mean, that's duh, right? But all these stores closing and nothing coming to replace the stores, sudden changes happening where I saw just the other day a major home insurance company, I think it was Allstate, is no longer going to underwrite homeowners policies in California, just like that, because it says it's too expensive. And the state's regulations prevent them from changing rates as quickly as they'd have to adjust to inflation, fires, and theft or whatever. So these things, they're all traps. I don't know if you realize that they're traps, because when they close, the only store you can go to the grocery store at in your town because of crime, where are you going to get groceries? And you say like, well, we can just order stuff online. Yeah, sure. But the noose is tightening up. The price goes up, the inconvenience goes up, the amount of time it takes goes up, and all of that affects your quality of life. Now, as these things happen, you got to understand it becomes harder and harder to move. Because who's going to buy your house when there's a homeless encampment right next door? And the whole reason you're moving is they keep stealing your stuff and spray painting your walls. And this is not theoretical. So if you know any South Africans, my wife is South African, this is exactly what happened to their country. It's a terrible place now. It used to be a beautiful place. But what they did was they attacked merit and they awarded everything else. And fast forward a few years, and you know, this happens all the time where people can't move, where they can't get any money for their house because this homeless encampment just kept growing and absorbed the neighborhood. And that's coming to a suburb near you. I've had discussions with someone I know very well, and I've tried to tell him and his wife, look, you got to get out of where you are. Sell your place and move. Because it's the same deal. They have a homeless encampment down the street. They're passing all kinds of crazy laws where he lives. And they've already said, he's in Washington State, and they've already said that they're going to make internal combustion engines illegal as of such and such a date. And they're like, yeah, when it gets closer to that, we're going to leave. I said, like, your only hope for selling your house is that there exist people dumb enough to walk into that situation, or too dumb to leave it. If you wait until you, being normal people, see the writing on the wall, how's that going to go? Who's going to be left, right? You have to find the bigger fool. Now, that doesn't sound too charitable, but the point is, right now, there are still people who want to be there. If you wait until normal people don't want to be there, there won't be anyone left to buy your place, right? Anyway, I'm sure I'm just the broken record, but I've been telling people for years now that the cost of doing the right thing only increases as you don't do it. As you delay doing the right thing, the cost only ever goes up. It never gets easier. It always gets harder, and you always get less for doing it. So the response is weaker, the price is higher. That's always the way it goes. And I started talking about moving long before COVID, and very few people took me seriously. And now here we are, and where I am, there's not even any places to rent anymore. And that's like up too far away from here. I know somebody trying to find a place to rent right now who already lives here. Is just trying to change their living situation, and they can't find a place. So, but as far as houses to buy, there's been nothing on the market for like 2 years here. And the prices of the houses that do sell, everything's twice what it was 3 years ago, which is insane because it was already really high, in my opinion. So this is the way it goes. So hopefully you can find a way to do what you need to do. But I don't know, things sound extreme until they happen. So when the bulletproof glass comes into the stores, and it's not for pharmacy, it's for the whole stores now behind the counter, I guess the writing's on the wall, or the bulletproof glass in this case.